Hi friends, welcome to my another video. Today in this video, I will discuss about the difference between RCCB and ELR. The confusion is very obvious because the function of RCCB and the function of ELR is same. Both are giving protection against the earth leakage fault and saving the human and stray animal from the earth leakage fault current. We can take this topic as the difference between ELCB and ELR also, as the RCCB is a current operated ELCB and the ELCB, a normal ELCB, is a voltage operated ELCB. So if I'm discussing the difference between RCCB and ELR, it will also cover the difference between the ELCB and ELR. If you want to know the difference between RCCB and ELCB, then watch my video, link will be in the description below. At the very beginning of this video, I want to clear one very popular misconception between the RCCB and ELR is that the RCCB is used to protect the human from the electrical shock which due to the earth leakage fault current. But the ELR has two purposes, that it will protect the human and stray animal from the electrical shock due to the earth leakage current, and it has a role to protect the electrical installation also, but it is wrong. Both RCCB and ELR is used to protect the human from the electrical shock which can be due to the earth leakage current. The ELR has no role to protect the electrical installation. The fun fact is the RCCB and ELR have the same function, that is giving protection to the human and stray animal from the earth leakage fault current. And the second thing, that the RCCB and ELCB has the same operation also, means the working principle of the RCCB and the working principle of ELR is also exactly same. If the function is same, the operation is same for RCCB and ELR, then what is the difference? What is the difference between this mobile and this mobile? This is also Samsung, this is also Samsung. The difference is feature. This mobile has very limited feature and this mobile have many features. That is the difference between the RCCB and ELR. So we can say that the ELR is the very advanced version of RCCB or ELCB. Now let us take one by one what are the difference between RCCB and ELR. The first difference you will find between RCCB and ELR is that the RCCB is a standalone device, but ELR requires some external support to work. What does it mean? Suppose any earth leakage fault happen at the load side, okay, then the RCCB will sense it and it will trip itself. But ELR, when there is a earth leakage fault happen at the load side, then ELR will not trip until and unless he will get signal from its supportive device, that is CBCT, core balance current transformer. So ELR need an external device in order to support him to trip the circuit, as the RCCB alone sensing the fault and tripping itself. So we can say that the RCCB is a standalone device. It's not taking help from any other to operate itself, but ELR taking help of CBCT to operate. So ELR is not an standalone device. This is the first difference between the RCCB and ELR. Hope you understood this difference. The second difference between the RCCB and ELR is that the RCCB is compact, but the ELR is not compact. As clear from our first difference, that everything is inside to sense the fault or to trip itself. So this is the compact device, but ELR using the external device to trip itself. So this ELR is not a compact device. Very clear, right? The third difference between the RCCB and ELR is the behavior towards earthing. In the case of RCCB, the earthing is not so important. Even though there is no earthing connected with the load body of the load, the RCCB will trip itself. I discuss it more deeply in two of my video. The first one was the difference between RCCB and ELCB, and the second video was, is the earthing still necessary when there is a RCCB in the circuit? If you watch that two video, you will get the deep concept related to RCCB and the relation of RCCB with the earthing. But as of now, for this video, just accept that one, that for the RCCB operation function, the earthing is not so important. Whether there is a earthing or not, the RCCB will trip. But for the deep concept, you have to watch this video. Now for the ELR, come back to our main topic. For the ELR, if this earthing wire is passing through the CBCT, then the ELR will make nuisance tripping. Means if there will be fault in another load, the ELR of some other load will trip when we will put this earthing through the CBCT. So in both the cases, RCCB and ELR, the earthing is not important. But for ELR, the earthing has to be take out from the CBCT, so the ELR will function properly and it will not make nuisance tripping. Hope you got the difference between the RCCB and ELR related to behavior towards earthing. Now let us move to the other difference between the RCCB and ELR. Is the RCCB has fixed rating but the ELR has adjustable rating. What does it mean? Suppose this RCCB we purchase and it is a 63 ampere 30 milliampere sensitivity rating. So we cannot change this ELCB as 40 ampere 100 milliampere RCCB because its rating is fixed. We cannot change its rating. But in the case of ELR, we can change the rating of the ELR by adjusting this dial. We can, means for in this case, for this example, we can change the sensitivity rating of this ELR from 30 milliampere to 30 ampere. So in wide range, we can adjust the sensitivity rating of ELR, which is a very good advantage over the RCCB. Moreover to that, suppose this RCCB has a tripping time of 4 milliseconds. Means when it detects the fault, it will trip within 4 milliseconds. We cannot change it. But in the case of RCCB, we can change the tripping time also for the ELR. If we will, for this case, for this example, suppose if the dial is in 0 position, then as the fault is occur, this ELR will trip. But when we put the dial at 1 second, then it will hold the leakage fault current till 1 second and then it will trip the circuit. So this is the very big advantage of ELR over the RCCB. The other difference between the RCCB and ELR is that the RCCB has no facility to integrate this RCCB with other tripping circuits, but the ELR has this facility to integrate it with the other tripping circuit. What does it mean? Suppose the RCCB senses the fault and it trip itself. But with the help of this RCCB, we cannot give command to another tripping device to trip it. But in the case of ELR, when the ELR senses the fault with the help of CBCT, then this fault signal we can give to another tripping circuit like the UV relays, like to the contactor, to the sun trip of the MCCB in order to trip the MCCB or to the contactor. So the conclusion is the ELR has a provision to give the command to the another tripping circuit in order to trip it, but the RCCB do not have any facility to integrate with the another tripping circuit. Let us move to the other difference between the RCCB and ELR. In the case of RCCB, if earth fault happen and suppose the sensitivity rating of this RCCB is 30 milliampere, if this RCCB sends a earth leakage fault current more than 30 milliampere, it will trip. But in the case of ELR, suppose we set the sensitivity rating at 1 ampere. I'm just taking an example to make you understand. 1 ampere. Then suppose there is a earth leakage fault in the circuit, but it is only till 30 milliampere. 30 milliampere. Then of course the ELR will not trip because the fault current, the earth leakage fault current is not reached to the preset value. In our case it is 1 ampere. But the ELR will show that how many percent earth leakage fault current available in the system of its preset value. For simple calculation, I will take here 300 milliampere. So 300 milliampere is the 30% of 1 ampere. So in this bar indicator, it will show that the earth leakage current in the system is 25 to 30% of the set rating. Hope you got the difference, this difference between the RCCB and ELR. I want to highlight one more point here, that all ELR is not coming with this graphs indication, but most of the ELR is coming with this graph indication, but no RCCB is available with such kind of facility. Now let us move to the other difference between the RCCB and ELR. This is the most important difference between the RCCB and ELR. In case of RCCB, if we want to replace the RCCB, then we have to interrupt the power supply. But in case of ELR, it is not mandatory to interrupt the power supply in order to change the ELR or in order to do any maintenance in the ELR. But of course, it is recommended to cut off the power supply and then do the maintenance. But it is not mandatory in the case of ELR. But in the case of RCCB, it is mandatory, it is required. We cannot avoid this one. I will show you one circuit. From that circuit, you will understand it better. Here you can see that this is the supply source and this is the RCCB and this is the load. Something happened to RCCB and we need to change it. Then we have to interrupt the power supply. Then only we can change the RCCB. In that case, the power reliability will be less. But in case of ELR, there is a power source, it is flowing through the CBCT and it is connected to the load. Suppose something happened to the ELR or to the CBCT, we need not to interrupt, we need not to off the load in order to do any maintenance in the ELR or in the CBCT. But of course, it is recommended to turn off the power supply and then do any maintenance. But it is not mandatory. It is not our compulsion to do that one. But in case of RCCB, it is our compulsion to interrupt the power supply. Now let us move to our next difference between the RCCB and ELR. RCCB cannot be operated remotely. If we want to operate, means if we want to switch off the RCCB, we have to go there and to turn it off. Or in order to make the RCCB on also, we have to go there and we need to make the RCCB on. But in case of ELR, there is a terminal called Y1 and Y2, which give us facility to make the make the ELR turn on or off from remotely. The next difference between RCCB and ELR is very important. RCCB is carrying the load current, but the ELR is not carrying the load current. Here I will show you from this figure. You can see that suppose this load is taking 20 ampere of current, then this RCCB has to handle with this 20 ampere of current. Got it? Suppose this load is taking 63 ampere of current, then this RCCB also have to carry this amount of current, meaning the RCCB is carrying the load current. But in case of ELR, we will check. This is our load and this is our conductor which is feeding the load from the supply source. This conductor are passing through the CBCT. There is no any physical connections between the cable and the CBCT. So the CBCT is not taking any current which is flowing in the load. CBCT just sensing the difference between the phase current and it is giving signal to the ELR. The concept is the RCCB, as we see that it is carrying the load current, but ELR is not carrying the load current. It is just taking the difference in the phase current and this CBCT giving input to the ELR in order to trip. I hope you understood this important difference between the RCCB and ELR. Let us move to our next difference between the RCCB and ELR. RCCB is coming till 125 ampere range with the sensitivity range of 1000 milliampere. But the ELR is coming in the very wide range. ELR can sense the difference in the phase current which having a load current of 6300 ampere. Here the RCCB is taking only the load current till 125 ampere, but ELR can work with the load current which having a current up to 6300 ampere of current. The reason is very simple. As I told you in my previous difference that the RCCB is carrying the load current. So we need to make the RCCB with that insulation which can carry the load current. If the load current is too high, then the RCCB will be very costly because we have to do the insulation in the RCCB for that current. But the trick in the ELR is that the ELR is not taking any load current. Even there is a thousands ampere of current is flowing through the load, the ELR is taking only the difference in the phase currents when there is any earth leakage. It is not dealing with the load current which is very high. That's why even there is a 100,000 ohm current, ampere current is flowing, the CBCT is not taking that current. It is just taking the inferential value, the difference between the phase current in case of fault. So if I will talk about the sensing range for the RCCB, the sensing range is till 1000 ampere, meaning 30 milliampere, 50 milliampere, 100 milliampere, 300 milliampere, 500 milliampere and 1000 milliampere. These are the range for the RCCB. But ELR is coming with the sensing range from 30 milliampere to 30 ampere. It is very wide range compared to RCCB. Hope you got the difference between the RCCB and ELR. Though the function of the RCCB and ELR is same, that is giving protection against the earth leakage fault current for human and stray animal, and though the operation of RCCB and ELR is same. Why I am saying here the operation also same? Here from this diagram it is very clear that the RCCB is checking the difference between the phase current and neutral current through this CBCT. But this CBCT in the case of RCCB is inbuilt inside this RCCB box. But in case of ELR, this CBCT is out, and even though this ELR is getting signal of the difference in the phase current from this CBCT. So the operation is also same and the function is also same, even though there are many difference between the RCCB and ELR. As in my beginning of the video, I told you that the RCCB is like a old phone, but the ELR is like a new phone which have many features. But the operation, if anyone will ask you what is the function of this phone and this phone, then you can say that the function of this phone is to make call and the function of this phone is also to make call. Okay, what is the operation? It is taking the signal from the satellite and making the call, and this phone also taking the signal from satellite and making the call. So the function and operation of both the phone is same, but the feature is more and more in this phone compared to this phone. In same way, the function and operation of RCCB and ELR is same, but the features in the ELR is more compared to RCCB. Hope you find this video informative. If you really like this video, then please give thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. We will meet in any other such informative video. Till then, take care, keep learning, and bye bye. Thank you so much.